Excellent. Well, firstly, my name is Rob Moschetti. I'm the National Sales Manager at Campion Education. And on behalf of Campion, I want to welcome you all today. Before we kick off, I'd like to do the acknowledgement of country. Campion Education acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. We pay respects to elders, past, present and future, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples today. As I said, thanks for joining us. We have a number of people on the screen already who are live, but also we are recording this session. So for those that are watching this a little later, welcome to you. Welcome to you also. The purpose of our get together today, of our webinar, is to have a bit of a get ready for the season discussion and interactive opportunity for questions and whatnot. Paul Syle will be running the program. He's our senior e-learning specialist, and Paul will be walking through some ideas and preparation to make another successful season digitally with Campion. So I'm going to hand over to Paul now. There will be question and answer opportunity, and then we'll round out later on. We're expecting probably somewhere between 30 and 45 minutes, depending on the number of questions. But feel free. Yeah, we're here to help, and we are ready for your questions. Thank you again.
Thank you, Rob. All right, let's jump straight into it. So thanks everybody for attending. This is a good start to have a bit of a view and a go over of Campion's digital ecosystem, and to go through fundamentally 4 key areas and or tools to help the start of the year and throughout the entire year. We're going to cover some areas that will focus on data, which is really based around your IT team that manage that, but also some admin supporting areas for any level 1 help desk in the school, if you like, when you've got that student coming up with any challenges, that you've got some tools to try to identify if there is an issue and or what that is. So Secure Connect is our data imports area. That's what we'll touch on first, and that's where we can view and manage students and teachers and timetable data. Following that, we'll jump into some digital purchase report. This is a great tool, especially for book list schools, and getting a bit more vision on what parents have or have not ordered. MyConnect admin portal, great supporting tool so that you can actually support your students that come up and might have a challenge, something missing on an account. You can do things like impersonating accounts and get a visual of what products are or are not on a student's account. And of course, last but definitely not least, our MyConnect2 platform itself, the shiny front end that gives the view so everyone can access resources seamlessly and easily throughout the entire year for all their resources. So jumping into Secure Connect, as I mentioned, this is more based around your IT and your administrators area. This is related to data, because everything starts with data. And we synchronize your student data, your teacher data, and in some cases your timetable data as well. That synchronization is what we use to set up student accounts and teacher accounts effectively, efficiently, and very quickly as well. So when you're first presented with the Secure Connect dashboard, this is your first login page. Now this is a representation of the synchronization of data that's coming from you as being the school. So this will have different types, like you can see the student classes, students, teachers, subjects, and so forth. Now on the right hand side here, I've highlighted, put a big square around number 1, which is on the teacher row, and that's saying that this teacher import that's come in, there's 196 of them. We've got 360 existing, but we've created one new one. So this is, again, just giving you a view of adds, moves and changes and what's happening with the data itself. If I click on a teacher's report, I can get a little bit more view about what that particular synchronization was. Click on teacher created, and you can see there's that new teacher for our ABC school that has come in via this sync. Now, the good part is as well that this will also identify if there's any issues with the synchronization. For example, perhaps there's a duplicate email address, something's not mapped correctly. That'll flag here as well. You can see here there's a one here that says predominant elsewhere, and that's meaning that this teacher, test teacher at school.com.au, is also at XYZ school. Perhaps they are teaching across 2 schools or sometimes campuses, or more often than not, they've left one school and they're moved over to the next, and it's a state email address, so it's carrying it over. And that's just so we can identify, does this teacher still exist in this school, or have they moved on to another school as well? So, and again, this is a good visual on what's happening. There's lots of green ticks on the status column here, which is great, meaning the data's coming in, there's been no issues. If there is an issue and something does come up for whatever reason, something's corrupt in the data, doesn't match properly, or there's a large number of changes, our system will hold that and also email you as the IT and or admin to identify that there is an issue, so you can be proactive about it and get in there and fix it. That way you don't actually have to come into the Secure Connect platform on a daily basis to see what's happening. We'll of course notify you if there's any challenges regarding the data imports. Moving up to the students tab. Now students this will be the list of all the students we've got coming in via the synchronization of data. You can see here it'll have the student's name, their email address, what year they're in, and active or future. And that's a key part, the active or future part, which I'll touch on shortly, and import status and locked reason. Now, if there's a student that had access and then they come to you and say, look, I can't get in anymore, I'm not sure what's going on, a quick visit here, search for the student. If that now student appears as deactivated, so there's no green tick, that's indicating that for some reason the data that's come from the school, that student's not part of it anymore. So it gives you the opportunity to fix that up, push the sync through, instantly fixes up and keeps everything moving forward. Now looking at what you can see here, if I click on Connor's name, I can actually get a deeper view of what Connor's classes are. Now, if we are provisioning or setting up digital resources using a timetable data and or structures, it means we've set up in the back end that, let's say, year 10 biology gets this particular resource, and that way any student in that particular subject or class will automatically get that resource as soon as that timetable data comes through into our system. The other great part there is if that student, if Connor's moved from year 10 biology to year 10 chemistry, as soon as that synchronization comes through of data, that'll change here. The biology will drop off and chemistry will appear, and our system will automatically provision the resources. So it's instantaneous access, and it's all again based around the accuracy, but also your data. It's also handy to troubleshoot if you have a student coming in saying, hey, I don't have access to my chemistry resource, and you find that they've only just an hour ago changed out of biology, and perhaps we haven't had an updated data sync in that time frame to then move that student out of biology and into chemistry. But again, good for little troubleshooting parts there, and identifying if a student comes and says they don't have access to a particular resource, you can you know where to look at as the school to go, well, let's have a look at your timetable data. Does this student, are they allocated this particular subject and class code? Okay, moving on to teachers. Teachers, pretty simple, very common in that sense as well. Search for a teacher. You can identify who's coming in via the data, who's active, who's deactivated. Same principle as before, example as before, where if a teacher's had access and they don't anymore, you come in here, and if the active button has a big red cross, then that means that teacher is not coming from the school via data anymore. So it can trigger you to go, okay, let's identify why that teacher isn't coming in via the data sync. Moving on to subjects, and now this is based around the classes and subjects that we receive from the school. An example where you might be able to troubleshoot here is if a student, let's say we're looking at the top row there, Year 7 French, and there's a student that's in B07FR10. Quickly glancing at this, we've only received the class codes from FR1 to FR9. So again, it can trigger you to go back and make sure that that class code exists in the synchronization to us. As soon as it does, bang, and it shoots out the door, and all the data is nice and set up. Moving on out of Secure Connect. we go to the digital purchase report. Now, this is primarily for book list schools, so where parents are purchasing a resource, and that's when the student will get access to it. So this gives you the ability to actually get a bit more transparency on what a parent or a student has and therefore should have access to. I'll start over on the right side and look at purchases. So you can see that in the little column on the right there, you can break that down by product, year level, or search for a particular item as well. Let's leave it. I'll click on search here, and then it's going to list, because we didn't select any products, all the products for the school, all your student listing. And you can see on the right here, there's little green rectangles identifying that the student has purchased that particular resource. Now, if you clicked on the actual code there, it will say the product of the resource as well. It's not just a bunch of codes to look at. But if you dive a little deeper, if I come down here and let's say I click on Thomas, I can now see the resources that Thomas has purchased. Same principle as before, that if Thomas is in the classroom and he thinks he should have chemistry, but doesn't have access to it, but they can see they've got accounting and in this case senior maths methods, then you can actually see what has or has not been purchased by that student. As we know, it is purchasing by a book list or resource list. So it is up to the parents to pick what it is that they want to purchase, and sometimes things can get missed for whatever reason. So it's a good way to identify, or to say to Thomas in this case, hey, mum, dad hasn't purchased that resource. You need to get online. You need to go into a retail store. You need to get that resource, and that way it will end up on your account. Looking back at, so there is a select products button as well on the right hand side here. By clicking on the select products button, it will open up all the products, and then you can filter down through that. So at the moment this is a real global view, but perhaps you just wanted to see the maths resources that were available for that in year 7 and see who has or has not purchased it. You can get a better view for that as well. And to the right of that's a little down arrow icon. That is an export. So that will take basically what you're seeing on the screen, put that into an Excel, I think a CSV format, so that you can then manipulate that or have a look at that. Maybe perhaps you might use that to prompt parents to purchase if they haven't, and you'll get a better understanding on what's going on in the classroom regarding who has or has not purchased a resource. All right, moving back to the digital purchase report page, we have a really important one called the unmatched students. To give you a bit of background, when a parent places an order, our system will, and they identify their son or daughter who they're purchasing for. Our system will try to match that order against the student database that we're receiving from the school, because we won't provision or set up or do any digital account provisioning on any resources unless it's a verified school email address. In most cases, our system will automatically be able to match that, and then the order will be released and the student will be provisioned accordingly to whatever resources that they purchased. If our system cannot match it, for whatever reason, we've all seen what parents can sometimes enter when filling out forms. Perhaps we can't match it, the name's backwards, something is incorrectly spelt. They will appear in this unmatched report. So I click on search here, and now this will list all the students that are currently unmatched. So these are students that have orders that have placed, that have resources, but have not been released or provisioned set up for those students yet. So it is important that you do monitor this. So your admin area in the school does monitor this, because you can actually release some of these orders without having to communicate with us directly. So we're trying to take some of those extra steps out, and therefore delays in people getting back, to actually giving you some power there, that if you know who a student is, you know what their email address is, you can release that. You can see some names here, and anyone who follows AFL might recognize some of the names there. But so I've clicked on Luke Hodge. This is an unmatched order. We can't identify Luke's email address for whatever reason. If you know Luke's email address and he's in year 7, and a good example of that is that the resource there is College Digital Resources year 7. So you know you've got a Luke Hodge in year 7, you know their email address, you can actually enter it in here, lukehodge@school.com.au, select the year level, hit the submit button, instantly will release. All the resources will get set up for that student straight away. So it's a really good way of making sure that, one, that they're that everything's accurate, which is why our system does hold things that can't be automatically matched to a high rating, and then also giving you the ability to release them if you can go in there and manage some of the things, rather than waiting for us to go, hey, we've got these students that we can't match. It's just, this is what this tool is doing. It's really to give you a bit of the ability to release orders and see what's actually happening as well. Because Luke might come to you and say, I don't have any resources. I don't know. My MyConnect account is empty. If you look under the unmatched orders, then unmatched students report, then you might find Luke here, and you can release that. Next thing you know, he's off and running. Okay, moving on. I've got the MyConnect2 admin. So this is really the admin area based to support MyConnect2, the actual application itself, the bookshelf app. So we're in ABC school here, and you could, when you open up, you'll get a view of all your students, teachers, all year levels straight in one spot. Pretty simple screen. It's not meant to be complicated. You got all the usernames, but usernames will be email addresses, the role, whether they're a student, teachers, class, the status, which again is also can be helpful if a student loses access for usually the same reason, because they might not be able to be visible in the imports area, is because for some reason they've dropped off the import that we get from the school. It's rare, but it does happen. It's just another way of helping to identify where the issue is, so it makes it a bit of a quick fix, if you like. Then last seen and suspended and or impersonate users. Now, if I move down here, and I'll click on Neil's account, pretty simple stuff here. Neil's first name will be in there, last name, username, school, a lot of details here. None of that needs to be edited, modified, updated, albeit there's an update button, because that's all coming via the synchronization. So all that data is coming from the school. We can identify the student. We know exactly to make sure that this student's account is set up correctly. Now, I mentioned earlier about impersonation, really great feature. If you have a student that comes to you and says, look, I've got my bookshelf, but it's empty, it's blank, or there's a resource missing, you can actually then go on your device, impersonate, in this case, Neil, and if you see all the resources on there, then perhaps there's an issue with Neil's actual device, and he might need to see IT to identify it, because there can be device specific issues as well, but it just gives a good ability to see exactly what the student should see on their account. So it's a good overview tool to view in that sense. If you want a deeper dive to identify what the resources are, or the products are that in this case Neil should have access to, clicking on user licenses will give a view of all available resources to Neil in this case. So you can see the resources are there. Some important things to note here is a start date and expiry date. So you can see when that, if it was a book list school, so in other words, when a parent purchased it, then the start date is most likely going to be pretty close to the date that the parent purchased it. If we're setting you up via your timetable data, so it's a all-in approach, everyone gets set up in the class, then then the dates are probably going to be pretty similar across the board for their start date, and then expiry dates pretty self-explanatory as well. Moving across the screen, you've got status active or deactivated or expired, because resources will expire. They are licensed. Then you've got last viewed stamp, so you can see the last time, for example, the Jacaranda Queensland Senior Geography 1 resource was accessed was the 19th, 11th, 2025. The last page that was viewed was number 67, and the last time the publisher link access was accessed. Now, the whole purpose of MyConnect and Campion's provisioning and all the tools that wrap around that is that we're trying to make it easier for your students and teachers to get wherever you're trying to get to. So our MyConnect platform is there to support teachers and students that might want to view the PDF inside our reader with the advanced annotation tools, or you might want to go via single sign-on onto the publisher's portal and access the publisher's online resources that accompany that textbook. So whichever path you want to choose, that's fine. We're just trying to make it very easy to get there throughout this entire process. So that's the view here. When I move back over to school licenses, if I click on content, you can get a bit of a view on all the resources that are actually managed by Campion for your school. So this is every resource that is on a student's account somewhere. So that way you can just get a broad view of all the products that are on there. Perhaps you might spot something that might be missing, but in most cases, then everything will appear here as well. That same goes for teacher content, and then there's trial licenses. Excuse me. So teachers have in MyConnect, which I'll touch on a little later, a trial feature where they can actually get a bit of view and see resources that are available and trial them. So from here, if you're admin, you can get a bit of a view to see what your teachers are looking at. This is very handy, very important during selection process as well, to see what's moving throughout your school. Okay, so I'm following that, I'm going to jump into a MyConnect2 demo. And as I mentioned before, this will be a bit of an overview, a bit of a handy little tips throughout it. It'll be good for returning users, but also for new users as well. So give me 1 second and I'll share the next screen. All right, hopefully that's appearing for everybody. Good, got thumbs up, fantastic. Let me just jump on there. All right, so here's our MyConnect2 bookshelf. So when you as a teacher or student log in, and they're made to look mostly the same, and the intuitive, the user experience is the same for students and teachers by design. But if this was the first time you're logging in to MyConnect, you are presented with a tour guide. And this will go through everything that I'm going to go through today anyway, so I will skip it. But this will go through and talk about all the features throughout MyConnect, throughout the bookshelf, but also throughout the reader and or ebook reader as well, just to help you with tips and tricks on how to use the platform in case you get stuck with anything. Now, as we're all probably guilty of, we probably close this whenever we open up an application and then go and have a play and see what we can find out. Just in case, and this is also very handy as teachers when you're in class, if you have all your students there and you want to walk through and make sure that they know how to use the product itself. If you click on profile, you have a reset tours button, so you can turn that back on and actually follow the tour if you like. But again, since I'm here, we will skip that. So when you first log in, you are presented with all of your resources in one place. On the left-hand side here, there's a nice and simple filtering button, which is easy to filter the resources by subject and or cohort, and or you can search for a particular resource as well. Now, as teachers, you will have and are provisioned every resource that we're managing for your students, but you'll get the whole lot on your bookshelf. There are a few small exceptions, but generally speaking, you'll have access to everything. So this is great if you have to pick up a class, or if you've got any relief teachers, then they'll have access to anything. It makes it very seamless and easy to jump in, pick up a class, and actually have a resource that they can access across the board. So that just really speeds up access and ability there. Now on the right hand side here, we can sort it by subjects, or what's most common, especially for teachers, because you might have that really large bookshelf, is favorites. And that's where you've favorited a few items. So then every time you log in now, it's going to go straight to your favorites page, and you'll only see the resources that you use. You might be the geography teacher, and therefore you only need to see geography. So you don't want your entire bookshelf cluttered with everything else. Quick and easy access, so you can jump in and just go. Now on the left-hand side, I did talk about the trial feature, which I'll pop up here. And so this is just about it's a very large catalog of all resources that we've got the ability to trial. Now, a really handy part for selection time, which we're probably pushing that if you haven't already made your selections for 2026 yet, but we get page proofs from publishers as well, and which is incredibly handy if it's a new edition, new curriculum. The resources aren't actually published or out yet. We'll get a few chapters in a product, in a book here, and an ebook here, where you can download that and it'll appear straight on your bookshelf instantly. Great for reviewing, great for seeing if you want some extra materials as well, to identify if you want to change resource for the upcoming year. I'll flick back to my bookshelf. Now, as administrators, you've got an admin area. Now, I've got a lot more buttons than most, but you have a My Content area as well. So if you are a teacher, you can upload a created product and upload a Word doc, a PDF, an Excel spreadsheet, could be a link to a website, a number of things here, and you can then allocate that to your students, teachers, cohorts, year level, whole school, and then that resource will appear on their bookshelf. You moderate it, so you can also take it off as well, but that's just another way of sharing resources, so that they all stay in the one place, which is how MyConnect is built to support. Now I'll just move back to my bookshelf. So as I mentioned earlier, the goal of Campion provisioning in MyConnect, there's that little tour guide, is to make it easy to access digital without having an extra username and password, without having lots of publisher websites, different locations to remember, and extra bookmarks. It's just meant to be in one place, and also give you the access to either the PDF within our reader with the advanced annotation tools, which is also a plus if you've got a split environment where you have students that use a textbook as well, because they are paginated the same, so you can have students with devices and kids with textbooks. Or if you're trying to get over to the publisher's online resource. And in most cases, that'll be that we can do that via single sign-on. So again, it's a click of a button and I'll get straight over to Oxford Digital, and then I'll be in Oxford Digital's online resources. So no need for another username, password, or any other type of remembering the challenges that are with all these passwords. So I'll demonstrate the open book. I click on that and this will pop open. And this is another guide, but it's built around our reader. But I'll close that because I'm here today. So this is our MyConnect's reader. This has opened the book, and as I mentioned earlier, it's paginated the same as what the physical textbook is. So you can have that joint environment where some kids are on devices, or some are using a textbook, or if you've got a device at school and a textbook at home, either way, you can work across the with the same page numbers. What we've done here is added tools to enhance, if you like, what is fundamentally a pretty flat product. So this way, you'll see on the right hand side here, there's some navigation. Now I'll flick over to the settings first. Excuse me. This is meant to be pretty seamless and easy to operate and use. So there's not a lot of settings in here by design. We don't want anyone confused. So you're either full screen, you're rotating it, but if you've got a tablet device, which it does support pen input, you can turn that tablet and it'll automatically adjust accordingly anyway. Probably most common setting here is whether you want it in light or dark mode. As I mentioned earlier, the contents, everything's all paginated the same through as the textbook, and it's very easy to navigate. It's down to the chapter and even the subsection of that chapter. Yeah, the product synchronizes your annotations, notes, what page you're on in the cloud. So if the dog ate the student's laptop, that's not going to work as an excuse. Anytime they log in again, that all of their annotation stuff will not get lost. They'll all still be in the cloud, and it'll still remember the pages that student and or you as a teacher were using. You'll see it's very snappy. It moves very quickly to get through pages. It's all caches behind the scenes, so we don't have to have students all sitting there day one in class, all downloading a huge book at the same time. It's that those days are kind of past, so it's much faster, much more seamless, and a better teaching and learning environment. So you're not wasting all your classes at the start of the year trying to get everyone up and running. Now, there is a search feature as well. This is just keyword search, so it'll search any words throughout the entire product. It's very snappy, very quick. It'll go through all, I think there's 500 and something pages in this product, very quickly, very easy way to, if you know what you're looking for, to navigate and find something. Now, as I mentioned, what we've actually done to enrich or add a bit more value to what is fundamentally a flat PDF is the annotations area. So there's a number of different types of annotations that you can apply on the screen to annotate, enrich, add notes for the product you're looking at. Now here's some I prepared earlier, if you like. So when I click on, you can see them on my navigation pane. Now I've blown this and expanded this pretty big for the presentation. It's not so in your face when you're sitting on your device. If I click on an annotation, it's going to zip straight over to that page, and you can see it's highlighted in that lilac color, and then it's highlighted the particular piece of text. So this particular type of annotation is highlighting, and what it's done is it's taken some of the words here and it's gone and put it over here in, as you can see, hopefully when I'm highlighting this, that's taken the words off the page that you highlighted and put it over here in the annotation. That doesn't have a lot of value until you actually start adding the notes to it. So, and here's a key tip as well, and for teachers as well, especially as you continue to use products through the years and you your annotations or your number of annotations can increase quite dramatically, especially for students too, as they use it throughout the year. But a lost annotation is a dead annotation. So if you can't find them because there's so many there, keeping some kind of order is really important. So a key tip here is, as what I've done here, I've written geo concepts and homework. So I know what this annotation is about. If I need to search up the top here in the comment section, I can search for that annotation real easy, or that subject. And then underneath it, I wrote my little note that is representative to why I took this annotation. Do more research on this chapter. Complete questions on page 110. You'll see that I wrote homework on this annotation, and moving down, I might have written study or exam. Because if I type in homework, now all the annotations that I've made that are homework related will appear on the right here. Same if it was a pop quiz exam, any way that you can associate that annotation to something that is relative to you, that way you can search for it. It will keep these annotations active and easily accessible. Now, okay, so moving on. The next type of annotation is just a simple underline. So I've underlined a bunch of text here. On the right side here, it's grabbed the text that I have underlined, as you can see. I've used my keywords, geo skills, exam, study. So this perhaps might be on an exam. If I type in exam or something I need to study in that search bar, it's going to come up with all my annotations that are based around exam or study or geo skills. And then, of course, the actual comment or annotation for this note. Moving on is shapes. There's a number of different shapes. This is a big rectangle, but without some context. That's all it'll be on the screen. And you can see on the right here, again, there's my keywords at the top. And here's the annotation that I'm making that in regards to why there's a rectangle around a heading. Moving on, there is freehand text. Now you can see I've written study this chapter down the bottom here. So this is like a note annotation for an annotation. So I can write on the page anywhere, but also when I come over the right, because obviously you're limited by the space that is on the page, on the right hand side in the annotation pane, I could put a lot more detail. I could, to describe why I wrote study this chapter, albeit I didn't have a pen device. That was a little tricky with the mouse, but it worked. So you can see exactly what that looks like there. And then on the right hand side, same deal, as you'll see throughout all my annotations, there's the heading, and then there's some key notes, something that I can search for if I need to. But then here's the reason why I wrote that particular study this chapter on the page. Moving down is the free highlight tool. Same deal. I'll put a big circle around the heading and drawn an arrow to it. Doesn't mean a lot on the page without some context. So on the right hand side, same deal. Pretty common progress or practice throughout all the annotations, and the way they're used is very standard as well. This isn't meant to be complicated. It's meant to be able to get in and just go. I did forget to show. So there is a way to style all of your annotations. So you can change the color of them to suit whatever it is that you're trying to do. Another purpose of the colors would be that perhaps, and it's nice to dream, that we have super organized students and or teachers that perhaps everything that's homework related is red, and everything that's a study is purple. Then what I can do here is I can filter by color, and then this is just another way to filter. And then when I apply that filter, now only the annotations that are red, in this case, which means study or exam, will appear in the annotations. Just another way to navigate those annotations. So if you've got 40 or 50 of them, you can get to them very easily. So again, just a few tips to encourage your students to be organized, if you like. Okay, moving down. Where did I get to? Is a deep link, so, or a rich link, I should say, rich text. So this is where you can do a little bit more than just write text in the annotation field. So I've put this purple box here on this text area on the screen, and then I've written MyConnect2 and homework, and I've added a YouTube video clip. That could be a link to a website, could be a PDF, could be a Excel, Word document, whatever that looks like. But that's now on the page. It could be that there's extra value there that you as a student or a teacher might want to add. Now, there is the ability here where I can click and I can share that. So at the moment it's clicked on school, but it could be private or to teachers only. And I'll give you an example. If you're a head of geography in this case, because it's or head of humanities, and page chapter 2.11, you've got some supporting materials, might be a link to a website, some extra documents, whatever it could be, and you want to push that to all your other teachers of humanities, well, then you can create this link and push it out to those staff. So then when they open up their Oxford AC Humanities resource, this annotation will appear on their annotations pane as well. So it's just another way of getting some extra value and collaborating a little bit around a resource. Looking at the text here now, as I mentioned before, it's very easy to annotate. I could just highlight a piece of text, and then you will get a toolbar that will appear, which I'll go through some of those shortly. But most of these we've already talked about in regards to highlighting, underline, swiggling through, and a few other bits and pieces. But then there's also freehand annotation. So anywhere on the screen, if I'm right-click, the toolbar gets a little bit bigger because this is things like drawing, freehand drawing, also adding shapes and so forth around the actual anywhere on the page as well, especially handy if you've got a pen or a touch device as well. But yeah, so it's very easy to annotate on the page itself. Now we've built some the immersive reader into this platform as well. So if you've got any students where English is a second language or any learning challenges, then you can highlight any piece of text throughout the entire product, hit the immersive reader button. This will open up the immersive reader and then actually be able to present as is. So you can see this is then taken that text, and then we can customize the format or how it's viewed to blow it right up, so then it's easier for students perhaps with visual challenges. But then there's also some color themed backgrounds that might assist some students in being able to read this text itself. Changing the font as well is possible. Clicking on it in words will often give a pictorial description of what that means as well. Clicking on the little listen button
Only
will say the word itself. Down the bottom here there is a play button, and that will actually
only
start
the world's
playing.
largest dam. It is also the largest.
We'll actually start playing and reading that out loud. As I mentioned before, also for if you wanted to change the language, let's change the language, and let's just choose French. Now, if I click on a particular word, it will also have that word in French,
En aval.
which I'm not going to make an attempt to pronounce, but you'll get the idea. And if I change the document, now it's actually changed all the text. I'll just take this off yellow. Changed all the text that we highlighted before and put it in French. And by pressing play,
Le barrage des Trois Gorges en Chine n'est
it's going to say that much better than I would in a lovely French accent. So this is to support your students with any learning challenges or English as a second language. Very easy to flip between the two as well. Okay, another really important feature or key feature, especially for those using a learning management system, and perhaps you are embedding or creating your class plan that you might push out to students, for example, you can actually embed by clicking on this link on the top right here. This is going to take, by clicking on that copy button, that will take this URL, and you can actually go and embed that in some learning management systems, and it'll put that page, in this case, it'll get page 60. It'll put that page within your learning management system without having to click and go any elsewhere, and it'll also keep it in line with what the class plan is that you're trying to work with. Alternatively, this can be a link, so you can push it out, use however you communicate to your students. When they click on that, it's going to open up MyConnect. As long as they've logged in, they've got this resource, it'll open up this to page 60 automatically. So it's a quick way of getting to a page, and especially because we know that teachers, you're probably not teaching from page 1 to, I think this book has 500 pages. In order in that way, you might be jumping around. So that way, if you've got a bunch of links, the students can click on it. They can be on page 60. The next one, they're on page 95. The next one, they're on page 3. So it's just making it a lot easier for you to navigate seamlessly throughout the resource itself as well. Okay, so on the bottom right hand, I might actually jump back to the bookshelf. And that's kind of it in a nutshell. the organization and of your annotations is important, and that the little key tip to have keywords in there will really add value and make sure those annotations don't get lost themselves. So in overall, that's pretty much it in a nutshell from our digital ecosystem and our tools that can support you within the school, from MyConnect through all the admin tools as well. Stephen, Rob, was there anything you wanted to add to that? How are we going with any questions or anything pop up?
Couple of questions here, Paul. One came in. Can I add future students to the import?
Yeah, 100%. Where future students is we love future students because it means we're already getting the data before you've rolled it over to the next season as well. So that's 100% we can manage future students.
And the other one is they don't see the MC2 admin screen. How do they get access to the admin screen?
Good question. All right, let's see if I can get that up again. Okay, so let me just thank you, Stephen. Right, so on the left-hand side here, there'll be an admin portal button. You may need to be given access to it. That it's possible that's why you don't see the access there. And then you can go, once you're in here, you'll have school config, and that will open up that screen that I demonstrated before. I can't do that for demonstration purposes here because it'll open up and expose schools and data that we're using. So we probably have to take that offline. If you can't find access to that admin area, then we can definitely allow or add access for you.
Who would they contact, Paul? Would they contact their account manager?
Account manager is definitely a quick way to get to that answer, and then they'll be able to activate that pretty quickly.
That's all the questions we got so far. If anyone else has got any other questions, chuck them in the Q&A and we'll get to them.
One other thing to touch on for any IT that are still on regarding data, it is important to try to keep communication up when you roll over your data or move into the next season. The sooner we know that, then we can match and make sure things align in a timely manner as well, and for accuracy. Because as I mentioned earlier, everything starts with data. Everything we do is all data related, or it starts that way.
All right. No more questions there, Stephen or Paul?
No, all good.
All good. All right. We'll leave it there. I just, again, on behalf of Campion, want to thank all those that were able to join, and for those that are able to watch a bit later on the recording. The recording will be sent out. We have all the email addresses probably very early next week. And if you have any queries at all, please feel free to contact your account manager. But again, thanks for taking some time to share with us. We hope we found that was valuable in readiness for another successful season. Read Digital. Thanks to Paul. Thanks for Stephen for getting things working. The technology worked beautifully. I hope everyone found this time valuable. Enjoy the rest of your week, and thanks for joining.
Thanks, guys.